Hello, and welcome to Pathologic. This is a game that I have been wanting to play through for my channel since, honestly, back when I played it, back in December of 2018. I must warn people beforehand that this is a very slow and text-heavy game. A lot of what I'll be doing is reading, and when I'm not reading, I'm going to be walking around long stretches, so just be aware of that. But let us begin.
So, it's all about trickery to you? Wherever have you come from?
No. I detest trickery. But if we ourselves are to suffer deception, our hands are no longer tied. Where are we?
Well, the muscular contraction is there. Means you're already inside of him. This must be one of the ventricles, right here.
What a silly place. It's stuffed. So it's not real for now? I don't think it has started yet.
Does it matter what it's made of? It's definitely struggling. We need to perform sectio transversalis. Cut the wall. There's no other way out. What else is there to do?
I know what to do. Those who favor hard logic and direct action are bound to be misguided. Only a miracle can set us free without us having to destroy something. And I can do miracles. Just let me.
Will you please be quiet? You're a liar and a thief. Who is going to believe you when you keep lying to yourself? The truth is my shepherd. Whatever happens, I will find answers, and justice will be restored. I will perform the operation. Medica morbo adhibe.
Don't you go all bossy on me, clever clogs. You will act justly, but your justice will blind you and become his demise. This calls for the gentle hand of a surgeon. Step aside, both of you.
Your gentle hands are used to killing, not giving life. You will inevitably do harm. As for Brainy, he has no regard for casualties at all. Neither of you knows compassion.
Yes, it seems unlikely that we'll get along well, but there's only one truth.
Any choice is right as long as it's willed. That's the truth of the matter.
Only the heart will show you the right choice. Stop thinking about yourselves. Think of the sick. He's in pain. I can't see it yet, but I can feel it.
It's not even a trap. It's a grave. Subipsum funis sumus. Can't say I hold a soft spot for it.
I can see that. You're full of hate. Stuffed or not, it's breathing. I can hear it. It can be healed rather than killed.
You mean you won't become a killer? But you will. Mark my word, that's exactly what will happen. But I can avoid it.
No, we won't ever get along. I suggest we be on our way. The sooner the better.
Off we go then?
Let's go. The clock is ticking.
What you just saw there was a stage play done by the 3 playable characters. Of course, like any playthrough, we will start as the Bachelor, the Doctor. Bachelor, the history of humanity witnessed a number of catastrophes that have demonstrated without a shadow of a doubt the pettiness of human achievement and the triumph of the invisible evil. Outbreaks of infectious disease that have from time to time wiped towns and cities off the map are undoubtedly among these. However smart and virtuous, the people caught up in these destructive events have repeatedly come to the conclusion that there is no use trying to fight these circumstances. The best you can do is bite the bullet and cope with your losses. This is a story of a person who has managed to work a miracle and defeat a seemingly unvanquishable foe. If anybody is curious or slightly familiar with the game, I will be playing over each of these 3 characters. Anyways, There's a cutscene after this, so I will go quiet again.
Daniil Dankovsky, a Bachelor of Medicine, was brought here by circumstances most unfortunate. Dankovsky's life work, his theory challenging the existing notions of human mortality, is being harshly persecuted by the powers that be. Suddenly, a letter arrives from a colleague suggesting that there is previous undiscovered evidence which may support Dankovsky's claims. There is a settlement, the letter says, ruled by an extraordinary man who may well be seen as objective proof of Dankovsky's daring hypothesis. Grasping at straws of hope, Dankovsky decides to follow what he believes to be the sign of divine providence. Without further ado, he sets off for the settlement. Late at night, Bachelor arrives in the town. As he seeks room and board, he gets to know a girl called Eva Yan and stays at her place till dawn.
As of today, my mission remains obscure. The examination of Simon Caine, who is rumored to be a man of incredible longevity, may shake the very foundation of modern thanatology and challenge the existent notions of death itself. However, even if this undying Leviathan proves to be more than a fairy tale, the mere confirmation of his existence won't suffice to prevent the powers that be from shutting our laboratory down. I need to figure out the most fruitful approach. Simon is a well-respected man, and if he mistakes my interest for effrontery, it would be nigh impossible to convince him to help me break new ground in the field of human vitality. Day 1, by the end of which the Bachelor finds himself battling a truly unvanquishable foe. And so the play begins. We're up in Eva Yan's little hideout. Got our stuff set up. Nothing in the drawers.
I had a feeling you would come.
Did the sounds from the outside wake you up too? There was a terrible groan, and something snapped loudly. No, I heard nothing. I think there are strangers in the backyard, by the pond. They're unlikely to be planning mischief, but I have a bad feeling about this. I'm afraid to go out to them. I hope they go away soon and stop disturbing our sleep. Why do you think they aren't planning anything foul? Our population is so thin. Crime is basically non-existent, especially here in the stone yard. Sometimes there are pranks, of course. Fights happen occasionally. People are young here, so they often go out at night. But we're a tight community, and now I hear unfamiliar speech. It's not a good sound. I'll go out and take a look, but I'm in a hurry. I must see this founding father of yours. Are you willing to trade the company of a fascinated woman for that of a dreadful old man, even if he is a sorcerer? That's so sad. But Simon won't go anywhere. He has always been, he always will be, even if the moon were to fall to the ground. Please stay with me a little longer. I couldn't even imagine the hospitality here. But who is waiting for me? I didn't notify old Burok of my arrival. I'm not even sure what made me take off for this place. Glory is the messenger riding ahead of the man. A celebrity from the capital, Bachelor Dankovsky, the founder of Thanatica, the man who challenges death. Of course we've heard about you. This glory is undeserved yet, but I hope that getting to know your ruler will give me a chance to live up to the expectations. Death. So that's the enemy you've chosen for yourself. Isn't it hard? I don't think anyone has managed to defeat that evil yet. Millions of doctors defeated it on certain singular occasions, but my enemy is more fearsome. It is death itself rather than a singular case of death. I don't understand. I can barely understand it myself. Could death only seem inevitable to us, but in reality be nothing more than the whim of a will that has shaped the world? That is the question. So where is the key to my victory? It's not far. The Caines live at the Crucible on Bridge Square. Could I please offer you a piece of advice? Go on. Simon has two younger brothers. The eldest of the two, George, is called the Judge by the locals. Visit him first. He isn't asleep. He'll teach you how to speak with Simon. The youngest of the three is Victor. His daughter, Maria, also wanted to see you. It's probably important. Was it she who knew about my arrival beforehand? Yes. She told me about it privately. Talking to her is no simple task. Maria's that kind of person. She puts on airs, but that's how the Caines are. It was Maria who told me that she would help you defeat death. That's the precise wording. What a coincidence. Alright, thank you for the advice. Go, and I'll prepare everything for your return. Do come back after you speak to the Caines. They will probably do lots of things that will puzzle you and put you on guard. I will have some advice that may be of help to you, if you need it. Okay, I'll come back. Simon Caine, the man of improper longevity, is waiting for me here. Hope you sympathize with my request. I only need living evidence of the impossible. The mysterious Maria, Victor Caine's daughter, has been expecting my arrival for several days. She seems to know more about me than I do. Mysterious. Quite a cluttered house. Well, let's head out. Meet this inevitable man. Halt! I'm going to have to teach you about the technicalities of the setting, the time, and the place. It's non-essential, but that's just how it is. The actors has to be prepared before he goes on stage, or else he'll fall down the aisle or stumble upon the prompt box. That would look mighty silly, wouldn't you agree? Who are you? I'm an actor in a tragic mime show. That's unimportant. Will you listen to me or not? I am listening. Time flies by. It can't be stopped or turned back. Night follows days, which are then followed by nights. Things happen without any regard for whether you're there to witness them. Don't expect anyone to wait for you. Most events can be missed. And so? And so it would make sense for you to visit the place that you care about regularly. You'll find the people that will play major roles in your fate there. They stand out from the common folk. The rest are just a crowd shot, a background, a bunch of extras. As it has always been. Indeed, still, it's best to avoid hasty judgment. It's a paradox, you see. Don't try to care too much for the lives of these bound to stand out people, and don't be too dismissive of the silent crowd. Both extremes will end in tragedy. Why is that? The world cares for your reputation, a fine and crucial instrument. Your reputation changes the world you see, for it is a mirror, wouldn't you agree? So a bad reputation can get you in a lot of trouble. For example, oh, need I describe? You've got a vivid imagination. Everything changes, from mystical aspects to mundane things like the people you need treating you badly, how many enemies you've got, how high the prices rise, how bad your dreams are. Lots of things. Sorry, Prospect. So how do I maintain my reputation? Really? How is that even a question? Same as anywhere. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not lie. Thou shalt not destroy. Do not steal. Do not covet. Do not be an asshole. Do not get caught. The rules are the same everywhere. A truly selfless deed, like risking something for thy neighbor or even a person who lives quite a far away, can help in a dire situation. I see. Really? Good for you then. As for me, I can't see anything in this mask. I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, don't get too worked up about human lives, and don't put too much stock into another's words, mine included. He who trusts everyone is asking to be deceived. Yet he who trusts no one is deluded. I know that from experience. Hello, Mime. Venerable Bachelor, please be so kind as to linger for a minute. This conversation won't take too much of your time, especially since time stops during dialogues. At least during the important ones. And our dialogue is extremely important. You need to know how to play, after all, don't you? Who are you? A poor tragedian, if you please. A victim of circumstance, just like you. You are mistaken. I am the director, the person in charge of the situation. I'm not a random actor. Of course you aren't. You are a living, breathing man, as is evident from your condition and statuses. You experience hunger, thirst, and fatigue. You suffer from pain, wounds, and diseases. You're so lifelike. You have to eat, drink, sleep, and rest, and to make mistakes. The latter being the most definitive proof of my human nature, wouldn't you agree? If I may, I'd like to point out just how important it is to keep an eye on your condition. If you get dizzy or unnaturally sluggish, do have it checked up. Vital processes tend to run faster during emergencies than in everyday life. I knew a person who died from stress but was diagnosed with starvation. It happens. I can testify that as a doctor. Need I remind a wise man like you of the fact that hunger is sated with food? Food can be found in shops, and shops can be found in ordinary houses that are marked with specific signs. Sleep, however, is more complicated. People only sleep in beds, and only in private residences around here. I am sorry, but that's just how the world is. Yes, the world is unjust. And quite silly, if you forgive me for saying so. Speaking of commerce, different shops sell different items at different prices. Make sure you don't get cheated. People can be quite brazen around here. You can also barter with the folk out in the street. Some things may be nothing more than trinkets to you, but others would be willing to part with their life's blood for them. Blood. Yes, blood. It's not my place to lecture you, but if, following your Hippocratic oath, you ever consider easing someone's pain, feel free to just approach them with a suitable drug. You'll see their pain receding before their very eyes. The sick fall asleep when they're close to recovery, don't they? When they're close to their ultimate rest. Still, helping the hopeless will grant you a good reputation. You'll be seen as a benefactor, willing to part with a precious sleeping draught, or a painkiller for a simple bystander. Anything else? No. No, not yet. Show me the way to Simon's house. Turn left now, then walk along the alley. You'll see a cathedral and 3 mansions across Bridge Square. Simon lives in the one that is closest to the river. Thank you. Man, this place looks depressing. So let's check up on what Ave was complaining about. There seems to be a squatter and a strange beast. Well, might as well talk to them. What do you want? This ain't your business. What is this creature? An odong, duh. That's what all them cattle breeders look like. Crude and unshapely and unfinished. Don't you know? Wherever you came from? An intruder, huh? Yes, I am a visitor to this town. Who could have thought it's home to such creatures? Crude, unshapely, and unfinished. The worm feels sick. Head packed, blood boiling, belly freezing. Let the worm warm up. Let him take a rest. Don't touch us, we're dangerous. Oh, that's some stench, you animal. How on earth do you even live like that? Featureless, hunched-over thing in black robes. And a generic factory man. Well, I don't seem to be harming anyone. I'll let them squat there. Should be noted that if you try to intimidate them away, they'll attack, and, a 2-on-1 as a doctor, your only weapon is a shitty little scalpel? To say the least, that's a losing battle and a half, so I'm not gonna bother. And here's a cool mechanic for you. Searching in garbage bins for loot. Like I found a watch and 2 empty bottles. And you go to these big barrels of water to get water in a bottle. Despite what the mask said, there is no actual thirst meter. There is one in Pathologic 2, the sequel to this game, but here you don't have to worry about water. It's purely a bargaining tool. Speaking of starting items, not only do I start with this, but I also have protective gloves, 2 painkillers, alpha tablets, and a tourniquet. I love the colors in this game. Like, this is already a very drab and intimidating look. Grays mixed with these browns. Background music has singing in a unknown language, if it even is a language. And then not only is there this huge cathedral sitting here, but something's leering in the fog. What that is, you'll know later. For now, let us go see Simon. Sorry if I'm a little frazzled in my commentary. I kinda have to slip into the stuff. Right now I'm still in the little anxious phase where I'm like, don't screw up. Hello?
I'm deadly tired.
Most venerable doctor, it is with great impatience that we have been expecting you. You need not delve into the minutiae of your business with us, since our family is well acquainted with your scholarly work. We are also quite aware of the difficulties you are experiencing, and are well prepared to do our utmost to support you. It hurts me all the more to be the one to inform you that Simon, my consanguineous brother, I don't know that word, the creator, keeper, and embodiment of all that surround us, has been murdered. Damn it! Why did it have to be just before I arrived? Just as I found the chance to prevail? Precisely. Why did it have to happen just before your arrival? Are you asking yourself the same question? Hope you don't see any connection between my arrival and the murder. In fact, I do see a connection. However, I do not mistake it for a thought that it was you who murdered him. What do you know? My brother was murdered last night, under the strangest of circumstances. But for all the mystery surrounding his death, I'd rather eschew the notion that his departure was connected with whoever had visited Simon that evening. The visitor is a man of laudable rectitude, and an old friend of our family. There are witnesses to testify that he and Simon did nothing but converse. Who is the visitor? Someone you know quite well. The man whom my brother saw last night was your colleague Isidore Barak. Was he not the very person to advise you here as well? Yes? Isidore has done more than he thinks. I have a lingering feeling that time itself is using uncontestable powers to further its own intentions. What do you think? Categories like time, nature, and fate deprive man of responsibility for what goes on around him. I was taught to avoid this worldview. It could be that my mind is clouded by sorrow, but I cannot escape the feeling that your arrival was no coincidence. Your choice was made for you, my dear doctor. But let us not blame fate for it. Isidore wrote you without making us aware. He took a risk that could have displeased our family. Really. Even though we were uncertain of when you would arrive, my brother was looking forward to meeting you. The tragedy may have been a consequence of the actions he took in preparation for your arrival. Someone has taken a powerful piece from the chessboard, a piece upon which your position here depended. It is doubly regrettable that Simon was playing on your side. So you presume the Queen knew of the blow and sacrificed itself for a pawn? But why? To grant you victory over death! Was it not your ultimate aspiration? To help you! Simon seems to have played a very dangerous game with fate itself. He went out of his way to provide you with a body of evidence. What did he do? It is of no importance to me what exactly he did. He took another leap for the stars and paid a terrible price for it. I repeat, he was murdered. The subject of importance here is the identity of the murderer. Everything has gone to rack and ruin. Wish I could take vengeance upon the person who ripped the life from this man. Do you want to help us, Doctor? Find the murderer for us? My brother Victor, who is in the wing next door, would share some of his thoughts on the matter. Help us, and the reward will not disappoint you. Indeed, it seems there are too many coincidences. Your brother's murder can just as well be called the murder of Bachelor Denkovsky. I will help you in every way I can. I really don't want to egotistically call this the murder of myself, but doing otherwise is essentially to say no, so, yeah. I'm convinced that if there is anyone at all that can help us solving this puzzle, then it is you. This mission calls for someone as astute and inventive as yourself. If Isidore was an instrument of fate, then Simon's murder is a message that fate intended for you personally. Do not think I am inclined to blame you for that. I am not. How do you plan to look for the murderer? We will take our own measures. The only thing I expect from you is to be yourself. Do only what you think is required. Whatever you find out, whatever you do, whatever your day turns into, everything is a clue to the solution of this puzzle. I repeat, everything that is happening here is on your account. Fine, I'm fine with this course of action. This is where Victor lives, the youngest of the three Caine brothers. You can tell me more about Simon's manner of death. Simon is dead. His brother, Georgi, is preparing to take the empty throne of the clan's leader. The Caines are obsessed with the idea of finding the murderer. They don't seem to be driven by rancor, but rather by the desire to uncover a mystery.
The town will meet its death at the hand of Simon's murderer. That much is certain.
Oh, one more thing. I'd like to examine your brother's body. We have sent for Isidore Burak's most accomplished apprentice. His name is Stanislav Rubin. Quite a resolute and talented man, this Rubin is. I have great expectations of him. He will bring everything you need, and you will examine the body together. Alright, let me know where this Rubin arrives. I would expect him to join you in the evening. No earlier than 11 o'clock, I would say. Why so late? I personally asked him to come no later than midnight. Don't let it worry you. Huh. Seems you're in not too much of a hurry to ascertain the details of your brother's death. On several occasions, excessive haste has led to undesirable consequences. The phenomenon that Isidore had invited you here to study, it is in our blood. The psychological trait of our family shows itself from time to time. That is quite intriguing. The examination of the body will not help you in any way. This puzzle has to be solved within your mind. I am not able to, or even allowed to tell you any more than that. Believe me, I am not trying to conceal any evidence from you. The body is kept in the ice house. It is intact. The focus may not be breached. Please take all possible measures to ensure the safety of the body.
I'm deadly tired.
Which of the locals could help me? Whose word can be trusted? I don't know for how long you'll have to remain here, Doctor. You are most welcome to be my guest, even though I won't try to keep you while you are here, though. And especially since you are trying to find out the truth. It is my duty to offer you a piece of advice. I would be most grateful for it. This remote place has a history of its own. There is not enough time to retell it to you, which is unfortunate, since it has the background of the town that may possibly justify some of the local conventions that will most likely seem barbaric to an educated person like yourself. What traces did history leave in your society, then? There are 3 truths that rule the town, 3 origins, 3 ideas, if you like. For several generations, these 3 powers have been in conflict with each other. I suspect none of them can exist without the other 2. Yet each of them still thrives to dominate. Each of them has its own voice, too. Tell me more. These voices are the ruling families, the co-owners of the Bull Project, who have been ruling the town for almost 2 centuries. Each one of their truths they represent is screaming at the top of its lungs, and in so doing, travesties whatever value it carries. Who are they? The first voice is the Sobirovs, the second is the Ogrimskis, the third one is us, the Caines. We are the 3 heads of one beast. Each of the clans will offer their own understanding of what's going on. Each of the 3 will use their own voice and the voices of their followers to lie and distort the truth. We cannot exist otherwise. However, in doing so, we will inadvertently reveal the entirety of the truth to anyone who would listen. So I am surrounded by lies. How exciting. Truth is my only idol. It is only for the truth that I fight. Well, no one will dare lie to your face. Hey, you're contradicting yourself here. I have no doubts. Everyone will tell you the truth. But they will tell it in such a fashion that this truth will conceal the reality better than any deception would. The only thing I'm asking is that you don't jump to conclusions. Compare different versions. Your extraordinary intelligence will allow you to ascertain the truth. That inspires hope. Furthermore, each of us will try to paint a rather ungainly picture of the other two. Most likely, we will fill you in on the negative sides of each other faction, withholding anything that is good about them. That is inevitable. None of us will stoop to outright slander, so everything that will be said will most likely be true. But this truth will be one-sided and incomplete. Listen carefully to what we say, and take it into account. Thank you. The stories of the evil that the Caines have unleashed unto the world are partially true. Do not feel obliged to act in our favor. As you can see, I will stop before nothing to ensure an unbiased investigation. The lack of prejudice I want to instill in you is the one and only reason why I'm making a confession like this. I do not want my brother to have died in vain. Here our desires concur, Judge. So, that was an interesting set of conversations. First off, Simon is dead, which is just stellar for our mission. Second off, kind of feels like he was trying to gain my trust in that conversation. He was contradicting himself. Let's see how the rest of the family goes. Paintings. A wooden sculpture of an upside-down baby. Classic for any Eastern European house.
I fear that Simon's death is a symbolic event.
Famous Dr. Denkovsky, your arrival is a great honor for us. Victor Caine at your service. Daniel Denkovsky at yours. I foresee that the things that have become ordinary for us will probably make you feel uncomfortable and disturbed. I would like to compensate for that impression. You know, our small community has fallen out of the loop. Time leaves us behind. What do you mean? I mean the traditions. Games that we'll play with passion will most likely be of no interest to you. The people you meet here may seem eccentric, naive, or even somewhat deranged. Please, take it easy on us. Don't judge us too strictly. I will do my best not to disappoint you.
That does it. I'm gonna break soon.
Already given up, Victor. Sorry to hear. Georgi has told me everything, which is to say he told me very little, but it was enough to astound me. He maintains that you can provide a more detailed account. So you have agreed to help us? I have. May I ask why? The killer's goals seem to align astonishingly well with the goals of those who've been waging war against my work for years. I'm prepared to answer any question you have. When was Simon last seen? He sent Isidore home, then an hour later he came to this hall to see us. He announced his plans to withdraw to the Focus and receive no one. He told us not to approach the Focus and to fast for a week, partaking of neither meat nor water. Then, in the morning, he was found dead. How was he found? The servants discovered him in the morning. The room had been ransacked. Everything that was breakable had been broken. His disfigured, contorted body bore signs of terrible suffering. His neck was twisted, his spine broken, I think. No one has touched the body. It is currently inside the Focus and will remain there for the prescribed amount of time. What is this Focus place? It's hard to explain. It's a study, if you will. An extraordinarily spacious creative laboratory, almost perfectly sealed off, except for the door that was visible at all times. Metaphorically speaking. I don't understand. It's like an equation, or mirror puzzle. Anyway, the murderer could not have been hiding there, take my word for it. Well, Simon did get in there somehow. He could perform far more impressive feats. There's a reason why the whole town revered him. Alright, so how can I help you? Just take a look around. Trust your intuition. Do whatever you like. Speak to whoever you feel the need to speak to. Look for the murderer, Doctor, and you will find them. Keep looking till the last breath. I'm sure your rational thinking will help you. Is Isidore the only lead? How can I find him? I'll show you, but you must be careful. Simon's murderer, whoever they are, could not be an ordinary person. I can't imagine them even being a person. I fear it could only be fate, wearing the guise of a mysterious monster. I don't believe in fate. This is where Isidore Barak lives, the man that had brought me to this remote place. He is the last person that saw Simon Caine alive.
If we conquer our passions, it is more from their weakness than from our strength.
I have a feeling that the music is a bit loud. 1 second. I'll set this down by 20. Alright, so we gotta go head down and see Isidore. Although, first off, Maria also wants to see us. Let's check what that's about. Simon died in his focus. Presumably a secluded area that can only be come into by exceptional men? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what's going on there. Lady in a bog? Broken mirror. Lady's corpse. Tall cave-like structure.
It came from below the ground. For many years, we were burying the bones wrong.
You resemble an adventurer rather than a doctor. Who are you? I am Maria, daughter to Victor Caine. My father rules this town. My mother has built it. Well, nice to meet you. I saw you in a dream. Don't flatter yourself. My desires have nothing to do with that. I simply saw you take us all by the throat. Cruel words. But also honest. What's so bad about it anyways? The strong manipulate the weak when they want to. Then it is all in my hands.
Great souls are not those who have fewer passions and more virtues than the common, but those only who have greater designs.
Now listen closely. The time for collusion, secrets, and alliance has come. I am going to ask something of you. I am not used to that. I'm used to holding the reins, but you are not harnessed, so it'd be unacceptable to address you in that manner. I find solace in the fact that my request will be welcome with you. It fits the style of your venture. I am not an adventurer, but my job is no venture. I hope it never becomes one. I apologize if my words come across as mangled and silly. I am truly not used to asking, but the nature of my request demands complete and selfless humility. Just imagine me begging and kneeling, and believe me, I don't feel that way. No need to kneel. What did you want to talk about? Today's death was the first, but it won't be the last. Simon has opened the score of irreplaceable victims. Soon their number will multiply. I beg you to preserve the lives of several people when the lines of their fortune cross yours. Before any of them dies, there will be a moment where you will be able to intervene. Know that for a fact. And who are these people? That doesn't matter. What was destined to happen will happen. You can be whatever you want to be, but not a coward choosing to hear no evil and run away from reality. I'll give you a list of those I know of. These people are bound to you. Bound. There is a tight spring of power within each one of these people. Each of them can break the routine of human existence and become something greater. They are standing on the verge of their humanity, gazing into the realm where they could serve a different, higher purpose, without even knowing it. Moreover, they are bound to make the leap, in one way or another. That's why we call them simply the Bound. How is their fate bound to mine? Didn't you say my victory depended on them? How? I don't know. I'm not a mistress yet. The future is not as clear to me as I would prefer, but I can feel the present. Can already distinguish a dubious guess from the pulse of the precise knowledge devoid of words and images. These people are bound to you. Your lives are connected. I wouldn't have asked you to take care of them otherwise. Are you clairvoyant or something? Ah, yes, you haven't been told, or have you? Didn't even cross my mind that someone may be unaware of my abilities. No one here dares doubt them, for they are evident. Yes, the mistress of every ruling house possesses special abilities. I am learning to see the future and transform the present. Forgive me, but I don't believe in this type of phenomenons. Will you comply with my request? Will you save the lives of these people I named to you? Answer me before going back to Ava. Alright, if it is truly within my power, I'll do my best to save their lives. Whatever happens, these people must live. Their fates are bound to mine. They may well hold the keys to my victory in their hands. These people include George Caine, Victor Caine, Andre Stomatin, Peter Stomatin, Maria Kayana, Eva Jan, and Mark Immortel. Interesting. So we have people in specific to look out for. And the masks are back again. The town is small and rather unexceptional, isn't it? But there are all kinds of people here. The simple folk and the more remarkable ones. The former will tell you more than they know. The latter know way more than they're ever going to let out. Keep a close eye on them. Your victory depends on it. And who are these remarkable people? There are 20-something of them, easily distinguished by their lodgings or their presence. They're called many names: the Bound, the Fated, the Adherents, the Gobos Teglor, the Town Circle. Simon preferred their company to any other. Why? Because it is they that will decide the fate of this town. Don't be distracted by the fact that some of them look insignificant or disreputable. They will earn their worth. You just give them time. They're the most important joints of this town. Why are you telling me all this? Each day, one of them will try death by the tooth. Each one will put their life at risk. And each one that dies is important. Some of them may take the keys of victory to their grave. Mind that the keys are yours, while the grave is theirs. Others will do the opposite. Don't waste your chance to condemn someone who might get in your way. How do you know what is helpful and what gets in the way? Okay, alright. Dropping you more hints would be cheating. Shutting up now. Allow me to conclude then. Each bound you save will influence the finale of your adventure. Each of them has their own goals and motives. It may so happen that those seek a different ending survive, and then, well, you have been warned. Okay, take that into account and be careful. Essentially, to condense what they told you, that you have your bound, and there are other bound for other characters with different ideals, and even your own bound may have different ideals. It may not be terrible for certain characters to die as long as they aren't your bound, but perhaps it is still worth saving them. There is something in particular we feel the urge to warn you about. When you speak to the bound, please choose your words carefully. Do not worry, you'll be easily able to make out what kind of a person is standing before you, an observant man that you are. So use that skill when dealing with the bound. Some of them are indeed worth insulting, whereas others need to be treated with utmost respect. I have no idea what you're talking about. Every line you utter will have consequences. News spreads rapidly around here. Spoil your reputation in one place, and you'll have to reap what you sown in another. Restore your good name in the south, and you'll receive a warmer welcome in the north. They will heed every word you say, and you'll be rewarded. Not by means of money, I hope. A handful of money. It's not a dialogue fee, don't get me wrong. Never refuse to take small sums of money from the bound. That will not belittle you in any fashion, but would rather demonstrate that you appreciate the local customs. Alright, I'll keep local customs in mind. So, be careful, keep people alive. And I want to throw this out here. I am striking as my ultimate goal to keep everybody alive. All of the bound for every character. How easy that will be, I have no clue. Sometimes things are out of your hands. Other times, you can get a grip on people's survival. Good morals and luck are a great help in managing a small community without resorting to violence. Personal standing can work wonders. I've already heard the spiel about, reputation. I dig. Anything I can help you with? No thank you. I actually think this NPC here never has unique dialogue. Which is strange, because everybody else has more definitive role. Alright, I should throw this out here since we're leaving an area where the NPCs tell you so. This, town is made of little districts. And 3 larger districts. This is the Stoneyard. This is called Knots. And this area over here is called Earth. While all this land out here is the Steppes. I can only imagine that it's the Eurasian steppe. But, where this place is set is very, very ambiguous. But for now, I'm going to head down to Isidore's. My heart is crying for my poor children. How are my dearests doing? Is everything alright? Oh, women's share is hard. You've got a curious town here. I never expected to see something like this in such a remote place. Everyone's tired of the endless construction work. We want some quiet. Is there a lot of construction going on? Not a lot, but I cannot shrug the feeling that the world is changing all too quickly. The rulers invite architects from the capital, and they turn everything upside down. It's fun for the children, but a torment to us. I'm sorry to hear about that. Anything I can do for you? I'd be much obliged if you helped me learn how to get around your town. There's more than one town here. The first one is called the Bull Project. The second one, the offspring of the project, is the districts. I mean, the residential parts itself. Not so long ago, the town also dropped anchor across the river, but I wouldn't go so far as to call that a district too. It's just the polyhedron. And what's inside of that polyhedron? Nothing really. Children like to play there, I guess. They say it's perfectly empty, bare as the palm of your hands. What could there be inside such a monstrosity? I find it unbelievable that it's still standing at all. I never let my children enter that damn thing, ever. So you've never actually been there yourself? But kids don't like it when we grown-ups try to visit them in the polyhedron. Not like there's anything special in there. Why would anyone want to climb that thing? Alright, by the way, why do you call your town the Districts? Well, it just sort of came to be that way. The Gullet and the Guzzle, the Gorkon's tributaries, divide the town into 3 parts. Each of them consists of many separate courtyards. So maybe that's the reason. I see. Here's to hoping that none of it comes up today. So yeah, that's the guy that explains districts and sub-districts. I'll explain sub-districts really quickly, but I'll admit that, unlike in 2, it's not very helpful to know. So, this little area where Ava Jan's house is called the Atrium. Well, this is Bridge Yard. Up here is called, I believe, the Caine. While down here is the warehouses, here's the works, this place is the gut, etc., etc. People don't actually often... You aren't supposed to use those names as direction. It's just kind of like, if you can nerd out and remember them, then, you know, good for you. Oh, how ferocious Mother Nature is, for 'tis her wrath that we has to be withstood. Oh, friend, if only I could wet my whistle, I'd gladly give you anything on earth in exchange for a gulp of chilly spring water. Why don't you drink from the river, then? Only lowly animals, dirty of image, drink from the river. Us proud men deserve to drink spring water. 'Tis brought here in barrels, but they're often empty. I'd get it from there, but I'm out of bottles. I'd drink straight out of the fountain, but I'm gonna faint. The air here's too spicy. I'm barely walking as it is. So the local herbs are in bloom this time of year. They're not blooming, Professor, they're withering. Withering and thence producing general languor. People fall dead without sleep, like leaves from a branch. All because of the surplus of juices, or maybe not. I'm not really a science guy. So you're a student. Oh no, I'm but a woeful wretch, Professor. A wretch that had suffered all too much. My condolences. How about we barter? You'll have your water and I'll have bandages. Yeah, so I can trade with the drunks. Water bottles. 5 for each, tourniquets and bandages. And the trading system is pretty intuitive. You give them an equivalent value to what they're selling it for, so 5 water bottles equals these items. And I will take a bandage. Because getting hurt in this game kinda sucks. The healing items are not of abundance. And being shanked is dangerous. Remember that you are a doctor, not a fighter. You will crumple over and die at the littlest of things. Like that, but healing items are expensive, and water is scarce. Remember that the only way I can actually get water is by rummaging bins for singular bottles, which will only reset at the end of the day. Peculiar structure. I would also like to remind everyone that a good 60% of the game is all this walking, which means I'm gonna have to improvise commentary a lot. And that means we might occasionally go into podcasty territory. For the first couple of episodes, I'm going to try and keep my focus on the game. You know, keep talking about it. But as we run out of things to actually talk about the game, I might just resort to other things. Still playing the game, of course, and commentating dialogue, because this is a reading game. This game is hell, you could treat this Let's Play as a one of those, an audiobook, that's what they're called. Just me reading dialogue endlessly and reacting to a quite strange world. Speaking of which, we should probably go over general stats. Today's quest, Pursuit of a Killer. I'll read that in a bit. Other tasks, missions. If I open up the letters, those are the bound, that's the map. Oh, Isidore Barak's message. My dear Bachelor Dankovsky, it was most discerning to learn that the powers that be have intentions of shutting down the laboratory that owes its fame largely to your own research in the field of thanatology. Is it true that your detractors have branded your studies scientifically stillborn? Rejoice, Bachelor, for there is an observable case that would quell the obscurants that reject the research of death, aging, and necrosis as a subject that lacks academic viability. This case, were you to document it, would go a long way towards restoring your reputation as a scholar. The subject in question is Simon Caine, who has ruled the town where I live for as long as I can remember. This man's longevity transcends the boundaries of what is plausible. It is phenomenal, no less, and I struggle to give an explanation of it with what scientific means I have at my disposal. Make no delay, there is a sensational discovery to be made here. A breakthrough that will not only save your laboratory, but also revivify your studies and greatly increase your scientific renown. Your humble servant and faithful colleague, Isidore Burak. P.S. I spoke to Simon on your behalf, and he has kindly agreed to facilitate your efforts. Daring ideas and far-fetched projects are traditionally well respected in our neck in the woods. I probably should have read that before talking to Gyardge, but I forgot about the notes. And you don't want to forget about the notes, to be honest. A lot of players get lost in this game because the notes are what guide you to main quests and even sub-quests. Keep an eye on them, or else you're going to be even more confused than normal. This seems to be the place, and there's 2 guards stationed outside of it. A foul murder occurred here this night. A foul murder occurred here this night. No unauthorized access allowed. Inspecting the crime scene is strictly forbidden until further notice. Is this a bad dream or something? Can someone wake me up, please? Whoever killed our only doc must surely be looking to get us all killed. Isidore could cure anything. He also knew how to make cuts or incisions, because he was a warden. He knew his lines alright, like I said. It all makes sense. Whoever killed Simon took Isidore's life too. And that is merely the beginning. What makes you think the 2 cases are connected? Well, who would have the heart to attack such men? If you had asked me yesterday, I would have told you that no one would dare inflict such an ugly wound on this town. But if there is someone, it has to be just that, someone. Although it looks fishy if you ask me. That thing was no man. That's what I like to think. Explain yourself. See, this murderous deal is all mysterious. There was a talon stuck in the victim's chest. Go ahead, bend your arm at the elbow. Good, sir. Yeah, like that. There you go. That's how long it was. It broke off. There was dust on the floor, for the deceased had been a renowned stepwalker, and the dust was all covered in hoof steps and like traces of sharp bone, I guess? As if someone was using a walking stick round here. I'm telling you, it's her, the Shabnakadir, the clay man-eater. Alright, enough of this. Is there a person of a simpler mind assigned to work with the case? We've been assigned to this post by Alexander, the head of the Saburov family. His house is in decline right now, but it's still powerful and very much respected. For it is they that have been responsible for maintaining worldly order and public safety in this town since olden days. Please kindly address your concerns to him. There's their rod. You just take up that road there and get to the Cape. As for me, I'm not authorized to let you in. You should have said so from the start. The Rod. The Saburovs have been living here since the town was founded. Once a mighty and powerful clan, it only has 2 persons now. A governor devoid of any real authority in his dying life. And now, Isidore is dead. Who's there to turn to now? And what the hell is going on over here? And now the townsfolk are burning women alive. This town's great. This town's just fucking great. Loving it already. What do you have to say for yourself? Oh dear, oh what have you done? How is it? That was no Shabnak, that was a girl. A living girl. I hope you'll find foot in her place as soon as today. But in the fire she is not to burn, for she is made of clay. Wrong, all wrong. Harden she must, and fall apart. What have you done, you dimwits? Smells like burning flesh, huh? A mistake, then. Gotta keep looking. Come on, fellas, let's find the bitch. Haven't combed the backbone yet. Where's the patrol? Have you murdered them too? There's nothing we can do about this. Nothing I'd care to do. There is a dialogue option where you can threaten them, but they don't actually initiate hostilities. You are given a gun to dispose of them quickly, but people don't like that. You'd imagine that you'd be doing justice, but even after murder, murder doesn't correct murder, I suppose. Anyways, let's go see the Sabriels. Shabnak a deer. Huh. Clay man-eater. If you're wondering why I'm doing this little, why I'm moving diagonally, I'm not sure. I think it feels like I moved just a little bit quicker doing this. And if you recall from the initial encounter with the masks, the tragedian and the executor, time is always moving. And I need to set a key for it so I can show you it. Torch, I'm gonna set that to F. And then character status will be Z. Yeah, we started at 6 and now it's 8:31 a.m. As you can also see, we have health, we have perfect reputation, perfect health, good immunity, our hunger is slightly creeped up, and we're a little bit tired. But we have no infection. So yeah, saving time is important. Doing everything you want to do in a day is important. And as they said, things won't wait for you. If you don't complete the main quest, you're shit out of luck. Next day, pick up from where you started.
No, I can't stand it much longer.
So, I finally get to see you. Yes, you do look like a messenger of sorrowful times. In any case, welcome to the Rod. Her meeting is quite significant in a way. Facing the changes with open eyes and taking their first blow is my duty. Do you think we're on the verge of Do you think we're on the verge of an especially unhappy era? No grim events have clouded our existence since last summer. The country has cured its war wounds. Commercial communications have been repaired. Astrologists expect nothing ill. Do you hold astrologists' opinion in high regard? Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to, sir? I am a ruler. Astrology can be very curious, but I cannot allow it to influence my decisions. I have to act according to factual circumstances. Would you agree? Definitely.
This Haruspex is trying to prove his innocence. It's a no-go.
So you've come to meet with Simon, haven't you? What can I do for you now? I was actually invited by Isidore, so I came to meet with him first and foremost. But now it turns out that he's been murdered, yes. Looks like the murderer is always one step ahead of you, doesn't it? Same one that took Simon's life, too. At least, that's the conclusion suggested by the informant at my disposal. Same patterns, same signature. So who did it? You wouldn't believe it, his own son. The fellow came back after being quiet for quite a while. His father had sent him to study surgery when he was but a greenhorn. Quite a lot he has learnt, huh? A wandering scholar turned evil to the bone. All of that just to grab inheritance. Wait, how did you figure that out? In all honesty, it's hard to explain that to an outsider like you. Do you believe in such thing as clairvoyance, Bachelor? No. Well, you should get to know my wife then. Or better yet, those who have already had opportunities to witness the power of her prophecies. Former doubters, first and foremost. Rationalists. She's got something to say to you too, by the way. So, you do have rationalists in the town. Except for me, that is. There are very few good analysts in our town. Everyone is more or less superstitious here, except for one Yulia Lyorshiva, perhaps the most level-headed and reasonable person in town. The only person who remains skeptical about Katerina's talents, too. Without a shadow of a doubt, she has her own picture of events. She always does. Exactly the person I need. The intelligent Yulia lives here. She may be my only ally in my attempt to put the fairy tales of this backward place to the test of algebra and physics.
They say hitting hard is a good enough start.
Who are the people guarding Isidore's house? Those are volunteer patrolmen. We usually keep around 20 of them. I've increased the number recently to 150 or so. Really? Why do you need so many? There's unrest in the termitary. If I weren't certain that Isidore's been murdered by his son, I wouldn't even consider the crime to be politically motivated. Isidore was preparing to take over the Caine and become its leader. At least, according to the information I have. Your wife again? No, the source is a bit more straightforward this time. You really shouldn't look down on my wife's talents with such skepticism. Although, you'll come around soon. Hopefully your lack of faith won't end up being too costly for you. Time is running short. Where does the information come from, then? I don't think you're aware of the fact that Isidore came to me last night, just after he had returned, and warned me that there were some ominous events ahead of us. I took that as an unofficial warning about his upcoming takeover. So you took measures. Evidently. I've mobilized the patrols. I see what you're implying, Bachelor. But I'm not insane. Engineering Isidore's murder. As a matter of fact, a strong, independent kin under Isidore's rule would have been way more useful to me. Really? Why? Because that would have weakened the power of the Honorable Vladislav Olgimsky, who's pocketed the economy of the whole town. I'd rather see the kin as a dumb and speechless herd. Come to think of it, well, I'm sure you'll understand where I'm going with this. This is precisely what Georgi warned me about. Anyways, I suppose now in my wild goose chase I have to see Yulia. I should go ahead and spoil that the rest of the day is going to be like this, jumping between important character to important character. Getting you kind of accustomed to who's here, a kind of vague outline of the town and its little cultures, and it drags you around with no actual answer. So, what do we know? Simon was possibly murdered. Isidore was murdered. Okay. We've talked to so many people so far, and that's about all we know. Stellar. I've also heard whispers about a polyhedron. And a couple of other mystical aspects. This town is unrelentingly drab. hazy grays and browns. Well, the sky looks nice. Painting of some brutalist structure.
This girl is a changeling. She's not the murderer.
I seem to have lost any capacity for observation. My mind is out of tune. Things no longer add up. Before I had no trouble forming a trustworthy tessellation out of the most imperceptible contingencies. Now I simply cannot get my head around it. Could it be that I am dying? Step air is way too thick. I think that's what causes it. Oh no. Herba cervinia is in blossom, I grant you, but then it blooms every year. Every year the steppe is filled with its stupefying vapors. The issue I am having, however, has nothing to do with fatigue or perplexity. It's just that I've lost my ability to make distinctive events coincide. Everyone has that ability. You don't seem to understand what I'm saying. Let me elucidate. A single word someone utters may precipitate the birth of their own murderer. This line of philosophizing is barely an intellectual novelty, and is particularly relevant in our neck of the woods. Sometimes feel like I could touch the notions of cause and effect with the tip of my fingers. But now I am being tedious, I reckon. Not at all.
I keep forgetting the most basic things these days.
So you have traveled all the way here only to find out that both people you wanted to see were brutally murdered? Is this how the story goes? I do hope that your visit is not in any way related to these most unfortunate circumstances. I have to find whoever it is that killed Isidore and Simon, and I wanted to ask you for help. Sabirov told me that you have a gift for all manners of investigative inquiry. I am certainly no better investigator than you. I have never had a chance to search for a murderer before. The best I can offer is to fill in those blanks, with whatever mysterious supernatural entities seem most fitting. Shabnakadir is the simple man's scarecrow. I would have followed a different narrative. What kind of narrative? Considering the circumstances of his death, they said Simon had locked himself up in the evening and consequently died in the morning inside the mansion, in a chamber with some peculiar name, the Focus. In this case, I would suggest that Simon was poisoned by the Caines. I would have thought, but I know the family all too well. Their mutual loyalty is only rivaled by their arrogance towards anyone who is not one of them. They hold the princely sage who stands on the head of their family in highest esteem. They believe that a single dishonorable act will tarnish their name for generations to come. I doubt any of them would have stooped to this, no matter whatever they wanted to or not. Poisoned? How did you arrive to this conclusion? I don't believe you understand what "he died in focus" really implies. Do you know what the Caines refer to as focus? You don't seem to grasp the semantics of the term. These are the Caines for you. These kinds of innuendos are their forte. Well, in your own words, what is this focus, then? The focus is anything but an abstraction. Quite the opposite, in fact. It is governed by mathematically rigid regularities, you see. No one but the owner of a focus may get inside. This can only mean that Simon had brought the killer with him, or rather, within him, since no physical object may have been brought into the focus either. How do you know that? Who doesn't? The Caines are notoriously passionate about all manner of synthetic anomalies. They will never pass up an opportunity to devise I have no clue how to pronounce that, a Konststück that would allow them to warp space, challenge physics, or manipulate optics. Metaphysically, a focus can be compared to a camera obscura. Do note that the name is not unfitting. No, it is entirely impossible for someone to get inside. And you're also not allowed to eat or drink. That makes one suspect foul play in regards to Isidore's death. He had been stabbed, after all. Stabbed does not even begin to describe it. Stock Reuben told Lara that Isidore was murdered by some object resembling of a humongous, razor-sharp talon. What a riveting case. No wonder some people start talking of steppe monsters made of assorted bones. What, a claw-like object? Such was the topography of the wound, according to Reuben. Neither Lara nor me are quite able to colloquialize a term like this. You should speak to him directly if you wish to know the details. Make haste if you want to get a hold of him. Reuben is eager to join Simon as soon as possible. No pun intended. Yes, let's get back to the subject of Isidore's murder. Alright, let me suggest then that while he was in the steppe, Isar learned of something that he wanted to report to all three ruling families. In this case, either of the Gimski families should have been in this initiary, especially since Burak was one of their own men. Really. Definitely, the Bull Project, from the abattoir to the railway, is controlled by the Olgimski family. If Isidore's discovery had anything at all to do with the kin, Isidore would have certainly related to Vlad. So do make sure to pay a visit to the Lump. It's the name of the Olgimski mansion. A fitting name, wouldn't you agree? Thank you, Yulia. What would I do without you? This is the Lump, the mansion belonging to the Olgimskis, a family of factory owners. The 50-year-old Vladislav, its house father, is called Vlad the Heavy by the locals for his bad temper.
This girl is a changeling. She's not the murderer.
So, you have traveled I doubt I can do it all on my own. Tell me plain and simple, what do you make of all this? So I have heard. A wisecrack I know says that while you are trying to complete the portrait of the killer is busy painting yours. Hilarious, is it not? The hunter becomes the hunted. However, to put it bluntly, you have become the keynote of this particular plot. The intrigue is so rich it will keep you busy for a week, if not longer than that. What would you do if you were me? If you want my advice, I wouldn't trust what our feudals tell you. The perpetual triangle of influences mean that every party concerned will do their best to use your authority to their own benefit. I'm not that conceited. Perhaps people of lower standing would not try to use me. It is more likely that the people of such standing will be much too scared to cooperate. Given your position, you may want to try your luck with the shadow cabinet of local nobility. The women of influence, you know, much more than simple townsfolk. They care much less than the families in power. Who are these lady aristocrats? Lady aristocrats. Such a way of saying it will be of relevance strictly within the specific context of values and characteristics of a backwoods hole like ours. The catch is that the aristocracy is not defined by birthright here. Rather, the status is granted by the degree of fucking hell. Lady aristocrats. Such a way of saying it will be of relevance strictly within the specific context of values and preceptations characteristic of a backwoods hole like ours. The catch is that the aristocracy is not defined by birthright here. Rather, the status is granted by a degree of enigmatic fascinations that a woman is possessed of. Questionable background, audacity of demeanor, you know, this whole assortment. Tell me who these affluent ladies are. Lara, Ava, yours truly, and last but not least, Maria. I won't listen to Katerina if you're if I were you. Her morphine habit has turned more into a walking corpse. Others, however, are liable to deceive. You don't like being lied to, do you? Can't say I care all that much. I can live with it.
I keep forgetting the most basic things these days.
I've yet to meet anyone who can help me in the slightest way to find the killer. Do you have any relevant experiences? Do you know how a murderer can be found? Not really, but I hunt the killers of all killers in my laboratory. Incidentally, it is more than possible that the killer is hiding in the house of Anna Angel, a thespian of sorts. Now here is another woman worthy of attention. In fact, I heard some ghastly man covered in blood was seen entering her house today. How do you know this? The town is a small place, Bachelor. The wind carries rumors with falling leaves, mixing birds' feathers with emotions. We all know one way or another, so, well, hear that we are sometimes able to hear each other's thoughts. A family trait, if you will. But that being said, I doubt that the man in Anna's house is the real killer. Where does Anna live? She lives in a mansion that once belonged to a family of exiles whose political views led them to a far-out town like ours. Because of some ill-conceived sense of camaraderie, they were happy to give shelter to a runaway actress, as soon as she told them they were persecuted by the powers that be. A few years later, they died, suspiciously if you ask me, leaving Willow Mellow, their daughter, in the care of their companions. Willow died soon thereafter. Mysteriously? They all died of natural causes, allegedly. Even though Willow was buried in a tightly closed coffin, the body was examined by Isidore Burak. However, he is not a man who would cover up a crime. Anyways, you should do good and take a look at the house for yourself. The mansion is known as the Willows, and it stands by the gullet in earth. Anna, huh? Well, I'll get to know her. The Willows serve as the residence for a singer called Anna. Her last name, Angel, has a curious ring to it. Julia believes that the suspected murderer may be hiding here. Lara Raval lives here, according to Yulia Lari... Screw that name. A decent amount of local social events revolve around this girl. Her connections may prove invaluable. Thank you for your time. So now we got them some splitting paths. We can find Anna, Lara, and Vladislav. I'm going to do this a bit more on the efficient side, jumping between Lara, then Vladislav up to Anna, and see where that nets me. And it should be clear, but the bell ringing indicates that another hour has passed. No bandages. And this should be the home. Yes, it is.
Yes.
You were the person that came to Maria Kayana in a dream. I recognized you straight away. My name is Lara Raval, and this is the shelter. You are always welcome here. My name is Daniil Denkovsky. Let's be friends now. I prefer being friends with everyone. You always have guests, but your face looks sad. Well, yes, I'm the mistress of this house, after all. That doesn't mean I'm a mistress, mind you, not with a capital M. I won't ever become one, but I can also serve people to the best of my ability. What are you talking about? Everyone who sits at this table, see? They are all trying to be mysterious, but in reality, every action we take is a mere consequence of a deep wound. Our words are like the drops of blood seeping from it. Sorrow is what opens people up fully. You are a poet? I'm just in a melancholic mood. We are way too used to playing the game of tragic predictions. I'm trying to arrange everything back to order. I'd be happy to help you if I can.
They say Ripper was caught. Does he really cut people?
I know you're a doctor, a wonderful one at that, a celebrity medic. Everyone in our small town knew that famous doctor was coming here. I'm very glad you really have, because I want you to do a certain good thing. Can I ask a favor of you? Please do. A few years ago, the child death rate went through the roof here. 6 died in a week. 10 or so came down with serious illnesses. It made us worried. But unfortunately, we couldn't find the cause straight away back then. In the end, it turned out the children were dying because of a game. What in the world? What kind of game kills children? They were playing... what do they call it? Well, it was some kind of medical game. They were stealing medicines from the adults and making some diabolical mixture out of it. Then they healed each other with it. Back then, the game just faded into obscurity, but now I've heard they were contemplating doing it again. Someone has already been poisoned. But what can I do? I'm no poisoning specialist. I can do an examination, of course, but... No, it's much simpler. There is a house somewhere in the town, either abandoned or just unoccupied. That's where they play hospital. That's where they store their horrible mixtures. Please, use your standing and your celebrity name to put an end to this game. Capella, old Gimski's daughter, believes that the house will be unlocked today. I'll do my best, of course. How can I find this house? Capella mentioned it's next to one of the ruins. My friend couldn't hear them properly. Have you seen those stone stairways to heaven? I think you might even be able to see the house you're looking for from Ava Jan's window. But most importantly, it should be unlocked. Do people around here ever leave their doors unlocked? In exceptional cases or emergencies, yes we do. But generally, houses are supposed to be locked up because they're occupied by several families. People aren't that scared of losing their own belongings, but they care about their neighbors. And now everyone's afraid of the man-eater. Of course everything's locked. In that case, it won't be too hard to find. No real information about the killer, but I'll definitely be looking into these powders. Down to Vladislav's we go. Anyways, you saw me trading earlier with the drunkard, yeah? So, alright, what I was gonna bring up is that certain NPCs reside in certain areas, and they come out at certain times. As you can see, unlike earlier, the children are out to play, and that's because it is now daytime. And you could tell by the music in the background, it has the chanting, and that means it's day. The night track, however, is a lot slower. Aren't you a lively gal? Shall we barter, perhaps? And they have a lockpick, a revolver bullet, and shotgun shells. Curiously, children carry around thieving tools, ammunition, and drugs. So just scam school children of their valuables and give them fucking needles in exchange. That's the market here. Did I mention this game is strange? because it is, and I love it. You'll learn the children's customs and what they all want. Not every item will be attractive to every child. They have personalities, to say. Let's trade. Just look at the things I've got. He has 2 rifle bullets and shells, but I have nothing he's interested in. What do you have to say, Tot? Oh, that's cute. They have little ragdolls for, a portrait, while the big, more important characters have their own, little face boxes. He's just a faceless little baby. Tell me about the tower. You don't need that. Why not? Because we won't let you in anyway, there's a secret room inside. And what's in there? Like I said, a secret. Well, suit yourself. Tell me about the... What's that cathedral in the central square? It's not the central square at all, it's Bridge Square. And the central square is the spin-a-yarn one. Well, why is it called Bridge Square? Because at first, no one knew there was going to be the tower, so the plan was to create a square that would be completely situated on a very large bridge, like that wide. They would make a fun fair there. I guess the tower is quite more compelling. Of course it is. I mean, there could have been magicians at the fun fair, but the tower is way more exciting than any magic tricks. Why is that? Well, because you have masterfully evaded the question. Tell me about the theater. Oh, it's their piece de resistance. The place for the most significant things to happen. The shows they do, puppet plays about a shade, an orphan that came out victorious, a little thief girl, and a scientist who made the world end. Lots of stuff. So it's a puppet show, huh? And not only that, they also have the mask perform every evening, but I'm not allowed to go to those shows. Why? I'm too little a boy. I see. Interesting. What are you so happy about, girl? You've almost caught the unseen cat. Want to come see her? Oh, where did you find such a cat? It's the famous pale cat. Her eyes are like translucent emeralds. Her fur is gray and her body's completely transparent. I would never go after such a fright. The light passes right through her. It's very pretty, but most importantly, she's invisible in the dark, and rodents can't hear her. That's how light her step is. She belongs in the pale obtuse. To the what obtuse? It's no use. You wouldn't believe me anyways. Just come over and see the cat for yourself when it's dark. It's by the 12th warehouse. The password is hell froze over. Do my best not to forget that intricate phrase. Oh, what's up? The Soul and the Halves got an opportunity to catch their breath. This is good. Now everyone will have their time to prepare, otherwise we'd have to mourn our boys, and the Halves would be orphaned. The Soul and the Halves. It's just a catchy name. Notkin says it's because each of them has a familiar. A cat, a dog, a crow, or a grass snake. Half a soul more than a normal person. Or a normal animal. Is that a game? It's a lifestyle that's larger than life. If you join the Soul and the Halves, you have to adopt a pet. As you raise it, you change. Then, when it's grown, it gets the other way around. Your half begins to take care of you. And so you always act together, bound forever. And what if the animal dies? I don't know. No half has ever died before. What kind of soul and a half are you if your familiar can die? They wouldn't take you in the first place. Naturally. Tell me about the tower. What do you want to know? What's inside of it? Us! We play there. Caine won't let you in, I take it? I don't know who Caine is. Haven't had the pleasure yet. Tell me about the termitary. Dad won't let me go there. No one's parents let them. We're not even allowed to come close. Why? Is it dangerous? It's the people there. They aren't bad, but they can do you a lot of harm, they believe. For example, that it's okay to eat other people. Or if a person is buried alive, it's seen as a gift for them, a great honor. And generally, the termitary people can do something abominable to you. Can't anybody do something about them? Well, it's not like they actively hurt anyone. They just have their own way. They're all kin to one another. But who knows? It'd be dumb to get on their nerves. It's like going into a beast cage. Who can tell what's going on in their mind? Makes sense. Interesting. Termitary and the tower will not be relevant for quite a while, but you're spoon-fed little bits of information about them. Hey you! Don't mess with us. We know a thing or two about life. Well, let's barter, lad. I have a bunch of curious things, and you have nothing. Although, he does like the watches and razors. Good to know. Why are you so bristled up? It has begun! A crushing blow to the Solanahavs is being prepared. There are almost 70 dogheads. No one will escape their doom. Who are the Solanahavs and the dogheads? The Solanahavs have a soul and a half, and the dogheads have dog heads. As you can see, it's a clash of ideas, a matter of principle. It's an us or them situation, and there will be no mercy. You've got some fierce games. A game to some, destiny to others. I hope you avoid manslaughter. These kids are fucking brutal. No wonder they're hauling around bullets. And morphine. There should be Vladislavs right up here. It's one of those worm creatures. No dung.
Many a mickle makes a muckle. There's no hurry.
Bachelor Denkovsky, of course. Who else could be so dapper? I've heard quite a lot about you. We're taking a look around. Be sure to check the state of the industry around here. We have our own ways. How curious! And what is the current state of your industry? Come now, it's a complicated establishment with 1,000 years of history. A special approach is required to control such a colossus. See where I'm getting at, emissary? It would be pointless to object. I can see we're not really seeing eye to eye here. The project is special. Very special. That means common standards do not apply here. That would be very naive. You are probably right.
No, I won't believe in some earthen killer.
Yes, getting everything back on track won't be an easy task. I'd like to inquire about the fate of my colleague, Isidore Burak, and the manner of his death, to be precise. What are you implying? What is this manner you're talking about? Be so kind as to mind your own manners. I had nothing to do with it. Don't they say Isidore was murdered by a steppe demon, a Shabnakadir? There was that thingy, a talon they fished out of the wound. Right, a demon. Why didn't I think of it straight away? It was so obvious. No need to put on airs like you know life. Scarcely off the train and full of scorn already. Oh, I know the big city manners fully well. And the capital is 1,000 versts away, as is any other decently civilized place, if you catch my drift, and you didn't let me finish. Alright, I apologize for the sarcasm. Is your money where your mouth is, though? It's hard for you to believe, isn't it? It used to be hard for many. Take my boy, for example. A scoffer if I've ever seen one. And now, even he believes it's real. He went off his head a bit. You're in the steppe now, esteemed sir. Eastern and backwards. The dead rise from their graves here. Clay dummies dance and bulls talk. Does he know the steppe well, the son of yours? He rubs elbows with the rabble, the butchers, the odung, shepherds, gatherers, learns their tongue, collects their legends. He doesn't keep them in check at all. They even dare to come visit him within the premises of this town. If you see a worm creeping through the streets, he's definitely looking for my son. Oh, what's wrong with them visiting within the premises of the town? They're dangerous, they're aggressive, and they hate everyone who isn't a steppe person. They'll jump you and kill you on the spot. They'll tear you up with their teeth and devour your flesh while you're still throwing fists at them. So if they're spotted within the town, countermeasures are taken. So what of your son? Perhaps you could tell me more about this creature. Hold your horses. You want to talk to my blockhead? No, you have nothing to talk about. He's not here, thankfully. I don't want you to meet, you hear me? These are tradesmen words, and I'll stick to them. Yes, undoubtedly. Well, that was worthless. Thanks. Speak of the devil. Certainly he's looking for Vlad the Younger. Seems like an easy ticket to him. I just hope nobody gets the wrong idea watching me follow this deformed, ragged man. I don't know, being side by side with this thing already kind of makes it cute. I have a weird sense of what's attractive. One moment, worm. I have to, I want bandage. Thank you. Thank you. Oh shit. I don't want to hurt it, so I'm just gonna jump inside. And you must be Vlad the Younger.
Did you hear that? Did it come from inside the well? Or am I getting the jitters?
You found me here. Oh well, I'm not surprised. Suppose you're not too surprised by the fact that everybody knows about you either. The rumor of your arrival spread like fire. Why have you come? Oh, I've come for some sightseeing. There was a peculiar incident yesterday by the spleen. The children were playing in the mud as usual, and then suddenly they run away from the sandbox. The parents know that their hands were smothered in blood. However, none of them were wounded. Neither were any of them surprised. Such things happen all the time. Nice to meet a person of a skeptical mind. I am Vladislav Oldimsky, the younger one, of course. And you are, of course, Daniel Dankovsky. Nice to meet you.
Katerina thinks Claire is a messenger from heaven. Yeah, right.
Bachelor, I have news for you that should prove to be of interest. You seem to be looking for the killer, right? I'm listening. I'll have to briefly explain a few things to you. Have you already been told what the termitary is? No, I have not. I heard some talk from a child, but I doubt they're the most reputable source. The termitary is a huge bunkhouse where the Bull Project workers live. Although, living is the wrong term for it. They nest. Nesting as a commune with a rather simple way of life. It could, without reservation, be called savage. And? Let's get to the point then. A case of pointless, aimless unrest has occurred in that hive mind's nest. The workers there are prone to lashing out from time to time like beasts frightened from a storm. They rage, they howl, they gnaw at one another. An unsightly image of a mass uprising. What does this have to do with Simon's murder? Riots occurred in the Termitary several times before. The mob goes crazy for a few days, then they calm down just as unexpectedly. All of them at once. The sudden calm is just as void of reason as the unrest that had them agog previously. Having a certain experience with the kin, we simply block the entrance to the zoo off until the riot defeats itself. And we usually lock them up beforehand. The evidence of an upcoming outbreak of mass lunacy becomes obvious in advance, and the Termitary's Father Superior informs us of it. But Father Tychik has recently passed. A curious coincidence, don't you think? Mass anarchy. Anyways, a member of the kin managed to run off into the town while we were busy taking measures. Okay, so among the dead already, Father Tychik, Simon Caine, and Isidore Burak. Is all the leadership just dying here? You think he is the killer? I think you and I can help each other, Doctor. You are looking for the killer, and I am sure it is a runaway butcher. The title of a half-man suits him very nicely. The Caines claim that Simon had not been killed by a human hand, don't they? And our family doesn't need unnecessary unrest in the town. The butcher can babble devil knows what. His mind is most likely clouded with insane ideas. You'd rather have kept mum about what is happening inside. You are correct. They barely know how to speak. But that only makes it worse. Half men, half beasts. If they start preaching, you feel as though you've encountered a doomsayer. I need this butcher to disappear. Hand them over to the Caines or simply kill them if the beast attacks you. The reward will be hefty. Very well, I will look into this. Where can I find him? He's most likely being harbored in a suspicious house that's in the crude sprawl. Yes, my father is a man of rather hard-handed disposition. Quick-tempered to boot. If he finds out the crude sprawl is concealing a fugitive, he will make a mess. Pointless brutality serves no one. I'm looking for peace rather than blood, I'm telling you. I'll do my best to make sure you're right. Show me the house. Vlad the Younger is more than eager to get rid of some beast-like troublemaker. Wonder what the creature's murder would not be considered a crime looks like. Consists I consult her. So I'm getting my bearings. I assume I have to go back and see, Ava. Is that her name? Sorry, I have to check. Yeah, Ava Jan. But first, I want to bring up a mechanic that's not explained whatsoever. Essentially that if you complete the main quest, certain side quests can get cut off. So for now, I am going to suspend the main quest and complete our current sub-quests. The blood-covered fugitive, the many-legged fugitive, and the beast-like fugitive. First off, there is a tower to heaven over here. So we have to look around for an unlocked door. Don't need anything from you. This is the home. Quite a creepy place. There's a bottle of water. There's... oh, milk. Milk's a food item. Food is scarce. Is that a lemon? No. Fortunately, a little quest house like this you can steal for... holy shit, that's a big slab of meat. That's a pretty lucky find. Because that's one of the most nourishing food items in the game, so I ain't complaining. Though I hear footsteps. Aw shit, it's the local furry convention. May I inquire as to how you found this place, sir? By accident? Why do you look so funny? We children are funny creatures, half human, half something else. Our inner world is off limits to the adults. You can't see our real faces, just as you can't touch our dreams. That's why we need these scary heads. See how it all works? I see that you are here, and have no idea why that is. We're playing here. Rehearsing, actually. Also looking for something. We need it for the game. Nothing special, just some junk. Try again, and try to be honest this time. Yeah, well, it can't be fixed now anyway. Alright, I'll tell you. Who knows, perhaps you'll even be of help. The kids are in danger. We've come here to get schmouters, but someone has already looted the cache. Maybe it was Capella's doing. She's probably distributing them amongst her minions. The pagan. I don't understand a thing. How is it dangerous? The little ones are playing Epidemic again. They wanted to get their hands on these damn schmouters so very much. So now we need to catch the kitties, and I mean all the kitties in town, one by one, and pry the schmouters from their hands. See, the common opinion is that the schmouters can cure all kinds of ailments and stuff, but in truth, they're deadly. Why were they produced in the first place, then? An adult will be severely poisoned. They'll be bedridden for a week or so, and that's it. But it spells doom for little kids. How are little kids supposed to cure themselves, then? Children? All children should come to our polyhedron. They'll be safe there. Oh, you mean the odd structure next to the crucible? Please don't tell me someone's living in there. Spectacular tower on the other side of the river. There is no death, no grief, no boredom, and no disease there. It is proven for certain. Only dumbheads leave it voluntarily, if you ask me. You have to be an absolutely thick and heartless creature lacking any semblance of imagination to refuse something of the sort. Alright, I get the general gist. So, we gotta find those powders before these kids do. It's a bronze bracelet. Other one? We would have called you to come by to our place, but we can't. No adults allowed. That's fine. I'll live with that. Big jar of pickles. A great meal. And the powders. It was just sitting on a table and nobody noticed it. A story. I actually couldn't find them because I was expecting them to be hidden in some little nook or cranny. I would have expected that if they were literally just laying out in the middle of nowhere, you would have been able to, or the kids would have found them already, but no, it's just there. Anyways, I'll head up to check in on Lara, then I'll go to Ava. And by going to Ava, I'll go down to the Crude Sprawl. Which is a lot more walking. Whoops, I turned on my match. Hey, Tot. I'll try not to go too hard on ammunition, but it'll be useful. I accidentally hit the wrong thing. 7 bullets already. That's a nice haul. What's in your pockets, pumpkin? Presents, Uncle Bachelor. You want to trade presents? Why not? Sure. And she has immunity boosters. Just the child economy at work. Nothing. So yeah, a lot of this game is bartering. It's how you're gonna be able to get a lot of your sources. For the meantime, food and clothes can only be obtained by going to shops, but ammunition, and drugs can all be just traded off of children. What a life. Ah, that's creepy. Same as the polyhedron from earlier, even the towers just towers. Even the factory just looms over you and fades in. It's a very hazy effect going on here. Speaking of hazy, the fog. I mean, this was a game from 2005, slightly remastered, and by remastered, honestly, they just made the models not horrible. A lot of the texture work and stuff are similar. But honestly, the biggest improvement from this game is the improved translation. While this stuff is still obviously cryptic and vague, the Old English translation was so botched that it was nearly impossible to know what the hell is going on. While here, we're able to put together we're able to put it together a narrative, even if its true nature is a bit cloudy. Oh, that's a bloody corpse.
I don't want to undress. What if there's something scary on my skin?
Oh, that really is too much. Who the hell are you? Why have you donned that dreadful outfit? My name is Daniel Denkovsky. What's wrong with my outfit? It's snakeskin. Are you a performer, a circus actor, a tamer? Tell me the truth. I am a tamer, after a fashion. I thought so. I knew someone like you would pay me a visit very soon. How horrible. What's horrible? Everything. Everything's horrible. You came to, after me, right? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Shebnek is an evil man-eater made of clay and bones. She's the murderer.
So that man, he's like dead, right? Well, he isn't breathing. No pulse means dead. Oh, I was so scared. He barged in here all bloody. I thought he was sent here, but he didn't try to attack me. Just look at those hideous wounds. It's like he was cut up with precision to mangle the body as much as possible. Who would do something like this? An experienced surgeon, someone who knows anatomy. His sinews are cut. He was mumbling something to that extent. There's this hunt for Simon Caine's murderer going on, right? They mistook this guy for the culprit, even though he was actually a hunter, not a huntee. It was Simon's murderer that wounded him so badly and horribly, wasn't it? How do you think the man himself was not the murderer? But he was going after the murderer. They tried to ambush him at the station, in case he tries to catch a ride away from the town. And you know what? Their assumptions were correct. This guy did indeed come face to face with the murderer there. Here's the result. Okay, it makes sense. So what do we do now? Just don't call anyone here, okay? Please, I'm begging you. If they find a dead man in my house, that's hard to explain, but I promise I'll do so later, when we have time. I didn't kill him, I swear, and I couldn't have mutilated him so horrendously. I'm not saying you're guilty at all. whatever even gave you the idea? Oh, many people would be more than happy to accredit this blood to my hands. They just needed an excuse, a chance to grab me by the arm, and they'll twist it so hard even I'll confess. Just help me bury him, will you? I can see a spark of kindness in you. Go to the cemetery, tell the caretaker someone less than living in my house. And the caretaker won't go about asking unnecessary questions? She isn't much of a talker. People even used to think she was mute, but she's so kind, a true angel. Some people would gladly die to be taken care of someone like her. She underage or something? And since the old caretaker died, another dark story, huh? Anyways, his daughter is the one who's been taking care of the cemetery now. Name's Grace. She'll see to this dead man as though he was still alive and kicking. I mean figuratively, of course. Okay, Anna, I'll help you get rid of the body. No questions asked. I'm expecting to hear an enthralling story afterwards. Getting rid of bodies is an emotional and troublesome business. Grace, a young girl in the Muse of the Cemetery, can help Anna Angel arrange that. So now we must head to the cemetery. If you haven't connected the dots yet, this son of Isidore is the other playable character, the Haruspex. So, it's funny, because the paths of these characters your other playable characters all converge into other people's stories. So, like, I'm being led on this chase after the second playable character, which is interesting. Looks like a doll of myself, or Daniel.
Lies always turn out to be true. Don't mess with Earth.
Do you know where to find clean water around here? Fresh water must be plentiful in this place. There's a river close by. All of that water comes from the steppe, and it isn't exactly clean. Yesterday I inspected all the springs in the area. There seems to be no more clean water around. That salty taste is everywhere. It's reddish in color and there are disgusting clots in it. Where can I find clean water then? Townsfolk store clean water in homemade reservoirs. A modest supply should be enough to help us last a little while, but afterwards we'll have to drink that bloody mixture. How disgusting.
To tame his impertinence, Earth had disgorged a monster from deep within its bowels.
What do you want, I wonder? There is a runaway hiding here. Take me to him. Why would I? He's in danger. I'm here to help. He's a butcher. He won't talk to you. You wouldn't understand him. He's been here for more than a day. That a day. But even I can't get him to talk. It is I who'd rather tell you something. What do you want to tell me? Big Vlad has plugged the cemetery up for a reason. The butcher's mumbling is all over the place, but if you listen carefully, you'll make out tales of such horrors that I get shivers all over. Thousands of people have lost their minds all at once here. Many have died. Something's brewing inside. I don't like how happy-ass video looks in this animation up here. I don't pay attention to that often, but this doesn't look right for a character. Can you lead the runaway out of town? Really? Why? Here he's entertaining me, and it's dangerous to go out into the steppe anyways. What if the pursuers rip me apart in the streets? What if they think I'm a Shabnaka deer? What can you offer me in return for the service? Well, what do you want? I'll ask a small favor from you in 4 days. Don't worry, you won't have to cut your arm off. Will you do it? I will. Fine. I'll take care of the butcher. He'll disappear. Consider him non-existent. But now you must leave. Don't try watching the door. You won't see anything anyways. And tell the Oglimski's thick-headed bloodhounds that they have no business here. I harbor no killers. Deal. And if everything is going as I want... yeah. Killing people serves no purpose, even if it is requested by someone who belongs to a family in power. These, little asterisks mean we have completed the quest. So that's 1 of 2. Next stop is the graveyard. So we can go see Grace. Another one of the bounds that aren't quite bound to me. Oh, I mistook the side of that log as a bag. I was like, could I loot it? No. Pretty place. Hey. And who might you be burying, dear sir? Are you the caretaker of the cemetery? Caretaker's been pushing up for the daisies for, let me think, 5 years now. Turned to grass already. All excited to bask in the sun. Me, I'll have to endure them hardships for a long time still. I'm here on burial business. Where's him stiff? You'll have to go fetch it. It's not far, and a mansion on the riverbank. Oh man, better speak to the hunchback over there. He's the boss. Should have told me so straight away. What do you need, kind sir? I'm looking for Grace. Where is she? Ah, the caretaker's gal. No Grace round here, as you can see. The place is completely graceless. So what's your business with her, eh? I need to bury a man without unnecessary fuss. Aye, makes sense. Loads of sense. Pulling someone 6 feet under without any roaring thunder? The process demands meticulous, kind sir. You know that? How long since the stiff's gone stiff? A bizarre question. Ain't nothing bizarre about it. If the gun has been gone for a long time, then there's just one concern for us. Or maybe none at all. If he died recently, we're in a completely different line of business here. Now, a person doesn't die just like that now, does he? The towns are rumbling to thunder. Don't you try sweet-talking me into believing he died his own death. So you want money. Also, this guy's face up here is stellar. This is stellar. Taking a screenshot of that. You bring 2,000 here, kind sir, and we'll bury the devil himself and sing a pretty tune for you to boot. Gotta even put the Shabnakadig back into the ground for 2,000. Some ain't pretty, I know, but the times ain't killer on the looks either. Here'll show you a way out. Well, you're a big city man that I can feel versed away. Your equipment would cost a fortune in our shops. The poor morons would give you their souls for it. They buy all sorts of crap anyways. Got loads of money saved up right now. What with that train coming soon and all. But them folks are addicted to not starving, so they'll gradually sell their stuff. You could become a rich man in a few hours if you play your cards right. Looks like I have to follow your advice. So, we have to make a bit of money. I should also say that I am going to heed that man's words. Somehow, I think my items are going to be more valuable quite soon. Until then, I've got to cough up, god damn it. I've got to cough up 500 extra step coins. Nondescript step bucks. And I think I'll do that by... sell the scalpel, sell... Yeah, I will sell the scalpel, and then we'll see how much junk I have to sell. Some junk in this game actually is worth more than others, like little pins are worth nothing. They're just for bartering. However, a razor or a golden ring, they start selling them for a lot more. Now here we have another clone. So, what can I sell? Yeah, one razor and my scalpel. That'll get us straight up to 200, or 2,000. And now we can return to the Gravekeeper. Or Hunchback. It's funny contrasting these buildings. You've got the turn of the century looking, I don't know, little Russian town looking houses. And there's those factories. Seems like a conflict. It's quite conflicting. I guess I'd assume, I would relate those kinds of homes to little, unindustrialized towns, but industry is just sitting right there at the bottom of Earth. Not to mention the termitary, which we will see on passing. I've got the money right here. Aha ha! Lovely. Where's the freshie? Up on Angel's place. And hurry up. That is that. Now, we have to backtrack again to go see Anna. A bit more meta commentary on this playthrough. I'm not sure when I should start cutting out the long walks. My idea for this is that I let the player, or I let people that are watching this get an idea about how the layout of this town works, and then I start skipping around, using jump cuts to get to interesting stuff. But for the first couple episodes, maybe even the entire Bachelor playthrough, I'm going to leave in all the walking. But we'll see. Comment if you think something's wrong with that.
What do you all want from us?
Oh, how can I thank you? I'd love to give you some sort of trinket as a token of my gratitude. Silver ring from your lovely finger would be more than enough. Then take it as a sign of my affection. No, wait, I've got a better idea. I'll give you several, so they affect you even more. These are not just any trinkets. Never forget that each one of them represents my feelings. Yeah, so you get 1,000 step bucks and a bunch of rings. And these rings can be traded or sold. And if we remember what the Hunchback says, there's ways to make a fortune out here. And a gold ring might just be a key. Not yet, though. Soon. Anyways, what else do I have? Alright, gotta meet up with Lara, and I think that might be all for the day. Well, besides capping off the, main thing, or main quest. Now this girl has Meridorm. What's up? Are you really playing hide and seek with the man-eater? Yes, and when I catch him, I'll eat him. Be careful though, everyone's very frightened. He's a good runner and has strong teeth. A good eater too, a gobbler even. Sure, I'll be careful. Everybody's on edge about the Shabnak. When their leaders die, the first thing they turn to is superstition. Can't agree with it personally, but who am I to judge? No, wait, we shouldn't be going that way. We'll cut up by the theater to get to Lara's. I love the fall setting to this game. Fittingly, it's the time where the trees die. And so far, we've heard about 4 big figures dying in this day. 2 of them died fucking today or last night. 2 others that we heard about at different times. Very, very morbid stories this day.
No. A town like this can't give birth to a killer.
I have a very bad feeling. The same feeling plagued me just before my father died. Add a 5th death. Well, I found it. Fortunately, the cache has already been looted. Oh, the terror. I found a specimen of the schmouters. I'm going to examine it. Give it to me. I'll throw it into the fire. I'll reimburse you for this loss. No, I'll keep it for myself. Somehow I feel like it may be of use later. Yeah, so the reward for that quest is the powders themselves if you choose to keep it. And, don't mean to spoil nothing, but a miracle cure for all of these, illnesses could come in handy. I'm willing to keep it. Sigmund, how's our stats look? Slightly hungry and exhaustion's closing to half. I have 1,000 extra rubles, just undescript monies. So we'll just kind of spend it on food. I'll take smoked meat and fresh fish. Could also sell my gun for a hefty price. But, I don't need to right now. But selling your weapons, as you see, even the shitty scalpel was worth a lot. Selling your weapons is oftentimes a very good way to get some emergency food. when reviewers say that they had to trade in their weapon, their gun, to eat a slice of bread. People say that for a couple of games, but this is the only game where genuinely I've had to do that. Because things get dire later. Very, very dire. Survival horror game. Of course it is. Today's easy because what's going wrong here? Answer is a lot, but it's not gonna drive up the prices. Yet. Since we're about to close off the day, I am going to go around and pick up some extra garbage items from cans I remember. Also check for a bit more food. Bread. Smoked ham. Milk or fresh fish, dried meat, milk. There. And I think I'll sell off the tourniquet and the alpha tablets. No. We can wait to sell them. Thank you for the food, sir. Ammunition I can even use. Nothing over here, so we can head on down to Anna's. But first, let me check out if I got a mail. Nope. And every side quest is completed. Good. I don't need any more ammunition or meds, so I can hoard up my trading supplies for the moment. You are useless, sir. You have no bandages for me. I like how there's 3 of these kids in one shot. Yeah, they're just a bunch of extras. Alright, we gotta go talk to Ava.
My lacquer is cracking, see?
The ominous singing outside the window is gnawing at me. Who could be singing at a time like this? Very little time has passed, but I feel hungry and exhausted again. Since you've decided to fight death, you will have to be very careful. It's September. You will be dying with every breath of our air. We are all dying with every second of our life. It's exactly this annoying phenomenon that I have challenged. But since you've heard of Fanatica's achievements, I'm not going to waste your time monologuing. You got me wrong. You will be dying here much faster than in the capital. Your body is wasting away just as fast as a boat sinks with its whole hold full of water. Breathe in this air. Can you feel it? Why? The steppe is full of various herbs. They fill the air with dizzying vapors. White whip, twire, and swevery are dangerous in August. In September, when herbs surrender their juices to the sun, people tend to get headaches this time of year. Heart sufferers lie in bed with pains. The heart aches too. How do you people live here? Twire is a rare herb, so usually it's bearable. This year it's unbelievably plentiful. The elderly says this is phenomenal. Nothing like this has happened before. I think it's a bad omen. Well, I don't believe that, but the air is droning. Can't you feel it? Don't you feel dizzy? Yes, the air is quite heavy. You need to sleep often, never go hungry, drink more water. You need to look after yourself properly. If you feel sick, forget everything else and get some rest. Otherwise you might die of a heart attack or bleeding. Be careful, alright? Both my heart and mind are strong enough.
My bedroom is warmer than this place.
Yulia insists I talk to her, but she doesn't have anything to say. What's the next step, then? Do I return to... Now, let's return to the Caines and see what's up.
The town will meet its death.
Oh, he doesn't have anything new to say. What about Victor? No. Huh. I'm missing something here. Let me consult with my notes. Bloodguard fugitive. Pursuit of a killer. The older Glimsky. Yes, I was doing the honorable stock breeder, lost his temper. Oh, I hadn't actually pushed up the quest. I guess what I need to do is go back to Vlad the Younger. What time is it now? We have less than half of the day to go, which is actually a really good time because I am almost done with everything in this day. It's only afternoon. That means I'll have plenty of free time, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna spend that time sleeping. We've exhausted what there is to do in the town for the day, I believe. Although opportunities will open themselves up during the night. Not big ones, but there's something to do. and interact with him.
It
Oh.
is easier to govern others than to prevent being governed.
What do you think about Simon's death? It is known that Simon had limited his social activity just before his departure. He only received 2 visitors. I know nothing of the first, but the second was none other than Isidore Birac. The fact that he was killed the same night makes you think, doesn't it? The killer took out a witness? Or an accomplice? Isidore was a complicated man. Have I told you about his position in the Caine? He used to be a very well-respected person there, and I can't say everyone liked it. What do you mean? Isidore wasn't a doctor. He was more of an herbalist. He never studied medicine. All of his recipes were about plants and roots, so to speak. He was knowledgeable, true, a sorcerer, if you will, but a very different one from Simon, an earthen sorcerer. I've never heard that Simon used to be a sorcerer before. Simon was a theurgist. Isidore was a witch doctor. And you think Isidore the witch doctor had managed to achieve the unachievable? A possible theory, but rather questionable.
I am crushed by these walls.
Vlad, now tell me. Did Isidore visit you last night? Tell me the truth, please. Yes, Isidore did pay me a visit, but don't ask what we're talking about. I have no right to share that with you. Right. I am going to ask you one more question now. Your question will determine whether you and I become friends or enemies. Well then, I'd rather be your friend. Go ahead. What did you talk about? Tell me the truth, please. Isidore said, note that I'm merely retelling it secondhand. He says there is an epidemic in the steppe camps. An outbreak of Tarbagan. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Sickness, perhaps the plague. That is, Father had issued an order to lock the termitary up to prevent the infection from getting in. Do you think Isidore had already been infected when he spoke with you? He was wrapped in a cloth and smelled of alcohol. He said these were preventative measures, but I still think he could have done all that just to convince me. After failing to convince my father, it was idiotic for me to fall for it. So he could have already been infected when he visited Simon? We need to warn Reuben. It's very urgent. He is about to examine Simon as soon as the period of time required by the Caine passes. But where is he? I have no idea. Well, where is he staying? I don't know. There is a secret dissecting room in one of the warehouses, but nobody knows where exactly. He used to live mostly in the steppe, sleeping in the termitary or at Lara Rival's shelter. But he's not there. I know that for sure. He went away to mourn his master. What would you have done if you were him? I'd wait for him at the Caines. Simple. That's the tick we were waiting for. So now, presumably, there is a disease out there, and Simon might have died to it. If nobody could have entered the focus, then it wasn't poison or somebody that came with him. It's that he had caught the plague, or some kind of disease, and it killed him. Not Lara, what's her name? Julia also mentioned as such that he had to have brought something in with him. Or within him. She thought it was poison. I think it's plague. And now the men are starting to attack women in the streets, believing they're the Shabnak. Ah, what a lovely town. Just my favorite, honestly. Oh, you're tall.
That wretched Buruk caused even more mayhem back at the station. More work for us.
Greetings, friend. I heard news of your arrival. Everyone has. Here to examine the body as well. My dear colleague, I do hope you haven't touched it yet. I haven't. Is there a problem? Simon's body, wherever it is, poses a dire threat. I suspect he has died of a contagious disease. Are you sure? Well, it doesn't matter anyway. If it's that thing again, what do you think it is? Judging from what I've heard so far, it could be febris typhoidea, or plague. I don't believe it. A second outbreak? Wait a second, I need to regain my senses. Are you sure about this? Do you mean what you say? Why are you so scared? If it's the sand plague, Master's death was so untimely. If it's the sand plague, we only have a few more days to live. See, I have no idea how to stop it. No one does. So you're familiar with the disease. I'm only making assumptions. I don't want to believe this. I'd rather have any other plague than this. We have no time to waste. The body must be inspected, isolated, destroyed if necessary. We must take protective measures for that, of course. We need your diagnosis before we can provide reasonable protection. At the moment, you can only buy yellow immunity boosters at the drugstores. They're no good. But I'll try to do something about this. We'll need to take some remedies from Master's old workplace. Did you know he was murdered by his son? An atrocity. His son has nothing to do with this. I presume Isidore was infected by Simon and died of the same disease. Or vice versa. Let's not waste any more time. You're right, let's make haste. I'll get everything ready for the examination. Meanwhile, let's arrange for the body to be isolated. Caine is keeping it in a cold place. I'll keep you informed. If we act deliberately and with a calm mind, we can prevent this epidemic. Stay strong. I won't leave you on your own. We have identified the killer, although we've yet to apprehend him. Reuben will collect the necessary equipment to protect him as he works with the bodies. In the meantime, I should inform Georgi Caine of what the primary investigation has shown.
However brilliant an action, it should not be esteemed great unless the result of a great motive.
I have been told of your initial verdict. You assert that Simon Caine was not killed by a human or a Shabnak demon, but died of a natural cause or succumbed to some physical sickness. Is that what you are saying? I wouldn't say he died naturally. He died of a mysterious disease. Microbes are more efficient killers than demons. Is that a hypothesis or a fact supported by evidence? It is a hypothesis. Mere hypothesis is not something I am willing to accept. Furthermore, the same rhetoric is widely employed by the people who want to hinder the murder investigation at any cost. The same people are spreading false rumors of civil disorder, which, as they would have it, took over the town. The same people would happily sacrifice human life to maintain a semblance of order. What would you say to that? I'd say they are right. And I would rather say otherwise. The whole narrative is much too convenient for those covering for the murder. The murderer who knew how to take Simon's life and keeps the secret to themselves. What if they do not stop at that? What if there is no murderer? Who are you trying to catch? till the very moment I will hope that the murderer does exist. I'm not trying to disabuse you of your opinion. However, if you're right, that is a death sentence for us all. Look for the murderer as long as you can. Sure, let us go looking for a coin under a street lamp just because there's more light that way. Is that what you want? Yes, something that was brought into light does not necessarily equal something studied in depth. Not everything that has been lit with the torch has been examined. We are counting on your another word I can't pronounce. Find a rational solution to the problem that we would have otherwise approached intuitively. He who is mute can see. He who is blind can scream. As you wish. And that's that. The initial findings suggest that Simon Caine was killed by a highly contagious disease. It seems I will not be the first to meet the killer. Dr. Rubin has better chances at that. I just cannot help but think that there are more that cannot think that were Katerina's prophecies to come true. It would have made the situation even more convoluted than it already is. And that's everything for day 1. Tomorrow, I suppose tomorrow we have to prove that the disease was the killer. And God knows what else. As the town goes into full Detroit over women. Anyways, I am going to head to Ava Jan's place, and I think at that, this day should be complete. I'm doing this in day segments, because fucking hell, this video is probably like 2 hours, 30 minutes or something. So, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see everyone back at day 2.